Guys, today we're going to talk about solar energy systems for homes. And look, I love the idea of solar to use sun energy instead of other non-renewable resources. I have solar on both of my houses, and I knew it wasn't going to be a huge financial gain in the beginning, but that will save me money over time. As a real estate agent, solar has caused a lot of issues for homeowners selling their home here in Las Vegas. And I don't know how many of these companies have gone out of business over the last 15 years, but it's caused a lot of problems when it comes to selling a house. So today I invited solar energy system expert here in Las Vegas, Andy Rothbart, to help us understand the good, bad, right, and wrong with solar and our local NVEnergy. Andy, say hi to our friends out there.
Hello, everybody. I appreciate the opportunity here, and my main goal is to help with some misconceptions and clarify some things for everybody.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to it. So first, just in general, what has recently changed in the landscape of solar, the solar industry nationwide?
Gotcha. Well, big news. When Trump signed the big, beautiful bill, what that did was it eliminated the tax credit for individual homeowners. So those are people that are either paying cash or decided to get a loan. Now, the problem is there are some people are now still selling those loans. However, those systems have to be PTO'd, meaning permission to operate before December 31st. Otherwise, if you don't get activated, you will not qualify for the tax credits. If you're looking to pay cash or get a loan in 2025, it must be activated. And the problem is you have to wait for NVEnergy to give you the permission.
Well, shoot, I actually I did not know that. I know for years they've talked about the credits, which I used a couple of years ago on one of my houses, and it was a big deal. I mean, it was like
30%.
tens of like I think it was $15,000 credit or something
Mhm.
like that. So is that affecting people who want to get solar, and what are people going to do in 2 months from now?
Gotcha. So yeah, it affected the people that were currently with loan companies or want to pay cash. I recommend that if they're talking to their representative to make sure that these are PTO, once again, activated, not installed, but activated with their utility. What's changed, however, is the tax credit is still available for businesses. And what I mean by that is anyone that does the program, which is called the PPA or the Power Purchase Agreement, those are still around for another 2 or 3 years.
Okay, well, that's good to know, and hopefully you'll unpack what all of that means as we keep going here. So here in Las Vegas, it's 100, 110, 120 degrees in the summer. And, energy is critical for us in running the AC. And the thing is, our electric bills seem to have doubled in the last 10 years. So specifically, what is changing in Nevada, and how is that going to affect us in Las Vegas when it comes to the solar energy or solar industry and NV energy?
Well, when we talk about Nevada, a couple things. First off, we only have one physical power company called NVEnergy. We know that's owned by Berkshire Hathaway. But the problem is twofold. We're getting a large migration from a lot of other cities, and therefore the population is growing and the demand for power is the most. However, the biggest news that's come out is unfortunate, and that is that the net metering, what net metering means is when people have solar during the day, they use the solar power. At night, they use NVEnergy. When they produce more power during the day, they receive, and they use at night, they receive a credit. When you look on a solar bill, you'll have blue bars of what you use and orange bars of what you sell back to the grid. That is ending potentially April of next year. This happened in California last year, which means anyone that gets solar in the state of California must get a battery. Why that's important? When you add a battery to a solar system, there are extra fees and costs more to get a battery, but the net metering is the best way for people to go solar. Anyone that has been installed before April 2026 is grandfathered in, like you are, Randy, you're grandfathered in for the next 25 years. What that means for real estate is those homes that are net metering homes, ones that can sell power back to the grid, will have more value because they have the ability to get credits versus the new people that decide to wait till next year. They only have to have their battery, their power stored in the battery, and unfortunately, it lasts maybe 3 to 5 days. The power doesn't stay forever. So that is the biggest change, and it's very unusual because Attorney General Aaron Ford wants to sue NVEnergy, saying what they're talking about could be illegal for two reasons. One, the net metering going away, but they want to add what's called a demand charge. This has never been seen in the state of Nevada. And put it simply, let's say, Randy, for example, in the morning you're making coffee and you're want to vacuuming and you're using a lot of power. Every 15 minutes, starting April next year, they want to take a snapshot of Randy or your usage, and they want to lock that rate in for the entire day. This is unbelievable. It's something that's never been done. And people that are delaying or want not to want to do solar and see what happens, they will be subject to this new demand charge.
Wow, shoot, man. And the thing is, I see all these news articles, and even though I'm in real estate, and you've been connecting solar with homes and real estate for this conversation, like a lot of it I just don't get. So thanks for sharing some of that. So with all of that,
Mhm.
what are some, like I said, there's people like me who just don't understand all of the terminology, what's going on, like you said, lawsuits and all this kind of stuff. So what have you found are misconceptions about solar that a lot of people have here in the community?
Gotcha. The number one misconception is people say, I can't afford it. Solar's too expensive. Now, you decided, or most people decided in the past, to get a loan to buy solar. And when you got a loan, usually the ROI or the rate of return would be about 12 years. Since the federal government passed that BBB bill, there's no more tax credits. So almost everyone has to do what's called the power purchase agreement. And why that's important is two reasons. Number one, if you're a realtor like yourself and you want to sell a house that has solar, there's a big difference between a loan, which is non-assumable most of the time, versus a PPA. PPA, there's no loan, there's no lien, there's no tax credit involved. So all you have to do, Randy, if you're selling a home and the homeowner says, yeah, I have a PPA, you just call NVEnergy when the house closes and you switch it over. Inversely, people that got a loan, a lot of times they have to pay off that loan in full to be able to transfer the title to somebody else. So that's what people get scared and they say, well, my cousin couldn't sell their home or they had to pay off $30,000. The loans are literally, as of the end of the year, are the way of the dinosaurs. They will no longer exist.
Wow.
Secondly, yeah, it's a big thing. Secondly, and I always personally, I sold more PPAs just because they're easier. But when you have a PPA, unlike a loan, you get better warranties on your roof. You get a guarantee of the amount of kilowatt hours that you use. So let's say, for example, Randy, you have a brand new customer and they decide to get a PPA system. And we happen to have 2 months of straight cloudiness in Vegas, which rarely happens, but they're contractually obligated, the company, to be able to give them the amount of kilowatt hours. And if they don't achieve that goal, they actually have to write them a true up check. So the biggest misconceptions is, it's too expensive. What happens if I put holes in my roof? All these things are not really understood. No one's drilling a hole in your roof. There's all sorts of brackets that happen.
Yeah.
These solar systems handle category 5, 6 hurricanes in Miami. So,
Wow.
and getting back to Las Vegas, where we are, we get the most sun hours out of any city in the United States. So this is the place to be able to do this.
Okay, so you mentioned PPA, so that's power purchase agreement.
Mhm.
Since we're talking about that, what are the different options for people getting solar, regardless of the loan? What are the different options like PPA, and how would anyone know which is best for them?
Gotcha. There are three types of PPAs. The most common, it comes with an inflation rider, meaning when you do solar, traditionally they lower the rate of the current rate. On average, when you add all the line items and fees for NVEnergy, the current rate is about 19 and a half cents a kilowatt. Now, the thing with solar representatives, we are allowed to decide to charge what rate we want, but most people charge between 12 to 13 and a half cents rate. So you're already less expensive than traditional. However, when you have a lower rate, that's a rate that existed in Vegas 5, 6 years ago, they usually have a rider either 2.49 or 2.99, meaning your energy bill will go up $3 to $4 per year. However, when you compare that to NVEnergy, they're averaging about 8 to 10% increase per year. That's option one. So you have a inflation rider. They reward you by giving you a lower rate now, and still you're significantly less. The
And,
second one,
and what's that agreement called? That's the
that's just a PPA with a an escalator. They call it an
PPA
escalator.
with escalator.
Some
Okay, gotcha.
companies charge 2.49, some charge 2.99. It's really not a significant difference, but when you do that and you get the rider, you're rewarded with a lower rate from day one. Now,
Got
the
it.
other one you can do is a flat rate. So that means that whatever bill you pay today, you're paying the exact same bill 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now. That's a 0% rider, but usually instead of charging people 12 and a half or 13 and a half cents, they start you at maybe 15 or 16 or even 17 a kilowatt. Still a savings, but that one takes a little longer. But a lot of people like the situation where no matter what happens at all, my bill will never go up. If NVEnergy is charging 38 cents like California, you're still locked in, never going up.
Wow. Okay, well,
And
thanks
then,
for.
sorry, then the
Wait,
third
you said the third
option
one.
it's called a prepaid PPA. Now, unfortunately, you won't get the tax credit, but let's say Randy had a good night at the casino one day and he won $30,000. He can pay his entire 25-year power bill in one payment. So all he pays is the grid fee to NVEnergy, $18 a month. But instead of making a monthly payment, you're all paid in full and you still get the great warranties that you would get even if you're paying monthly. So prepaid PPA, 0%, or a escalator. Those are the three options.
Interesting. That's, man. Like I said, even though I have solar, I like this is all educational for me. So that's good to know. and I'll make sure that I'm not going to try to explain it. I'll just send everybody to you.
Thank you.
So let me go in a little bit of different direction. So in the last few years, I've had clients, or I've sold homes to people from owners that were basically scammed. I mean, to sign solar contracts, because these people had Alzheimer's, they had dementia. It's almost like it's predatory, because these people should have never, didn't really have the capacity mentally to sign contracts. They shouldn't have, and it's caused problems because then those people pass away. And I even had one. I had one a couple of years ago. The guy bought two contracts for the same house, and it was a little townhouse, like it was 1,200 feet. Like he had no reason to have solar. On the solar is probably worth more than the property. So anyway, so with all of that, there's just a lot of scumbags out there, and I always want to try to protect other folks in the community. So what can you share? What can you tell us? What protections do consumers have now?
Gotcha. So in Nevada, there's been some drastic changes for the positive for homeowners. As of January of 2025, beginning of this year, anyone that sells solar, not the person that's setting the appointment, but the person that physically signs the agreements with the homeowners, must be a W-2 employee with a company that has a business license here in Nevada. The reason why that's a big deal is because Vegas was the mecca for many years of solar. And what happened is they would bring sales teams from different states like Utah and Texas to knock thousands of doors, sell you a system, and then you never hear from them again. And that's unfortunately what happened. The other type of, we talk it scam, where things are not done ethically, was what they would do is they would undersize you, meaning Randy needs 10,000 kilowatt hours per year, and they say, and your monthly normal NVEnergy bill, let's say, is 200. They go, Randy, great, I got you down to $65 a month, but they only give you half the power you need, so they could come back 6 months later and try to sell you a second system.
Wow.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, because the way we're supposed to be regulated, we're supposed to look at your power bill, look how many kilowatt hours you use per year. And then a good representative like myself, Randy, any life changes? Maybe you're getting married. Maybe you're having people moving in. Maybe you're getting a pool or spa. Maybe you're getting an electric vehicle in the next 5 years. You want to make sure you kind of look at today and forecast for the future. So that's the other one. And then addition to it, when people are older now, there's more protections when you're over 65. The bank that we use to do the PPA is called LightReach, and they do a double verification. You have to upload the person's driver's license, and they have to make sure when they're a certain age that's what's happening. But the problem is, when you talk about scams, is undersizing. Maybe they charge a rider too high. But know what the worst thing, Randy, is you have to look at your agreement. I've seen people start charging 15, 16, 17 cents per kilowatt in the beginning. The point of getting solar is to be able to start saving from the beginning when you have the PPA. But the problem with our industry, just like every other industry, with realtors can charge 1%, 2, 3, 4, whatever. Unfortunately, the commissions are based on the kilowatt rate that we're charging customers. So when you are looking at a solar agreement, what's the current rate? What is the rider? Is it 0? Is it 299? Am I getting 100% of my power, or 50, 60, 80%? Now, to just be fair, sometimes people have roofs they can't put all their power on. A lot of new homes, as you know, Randy, are flat roofs with the rooftop decks. They can't do anything really. So you want to make sure everyone's not scamming you. But if there's a situation where you can't get all your power, you have to figure out why.
Interesting. Man, I'm glad we're having this conversation, because I think it's going to help a lot of people. And talk about selling houses that have solar. I mentioned that sometimes not sometimes, a lot of times, if someone got solar 10 years ago, in what I found, in most cases, the company's now out of business. They're just gone. Maybe another company, and I don't know how this works, took over their contract. Can you talk just a little bit of why if Las Vegas is such a mecca for solar, and we have a lot of sun days compared to other places in the country, why did so many of those guys go out of business? And like what happened?
So what's happened is that, with solar, just like any industry that's growing, there's been a lot of unfortunate companies that have gone out of business, but people have to realize there's different factions. You have the sales organization. That's the people that are knocking on your door, or you meet at Lowe's, and they're the ones that are selling you the agreement. Then there's another company that actually installs the system. And then once the system's installed, what happens is a bank buys that agreement. Okay, so let's say, for example, Randy bought his third house and he buys a 2.99 rider. They actually buy a bunch of these contracts and sell them on Wall Street. It's not the bank that's usually going under. Unfortunately, a lot of times it's the installer that was going out of business, the one that has to be able to fix things that happen. But the positive is that traditionally, no matter who you go with, even if the company's out of business, there's always a manufacturer warranty for the panels. There's also manufacturer for the inverter, which is the box on the side. And what people must realize too is solar is customizable. So if you have a home of 6 people and they sell a home to someone that has two people, that person's going to have more power than he needs, but that's better because you can never have too much power.
Right.
Inversely, right? Inversely, you buy a home that has eight solar panels on it, and then you move five people in there, they're going to be paying a bill to NVEnergy, and they're also going to be paying a solar bill. So realistically, the best question to find out is who currently owns the home, what their kilowatt hour, what they're using, and is two people moving in and two people moving out, or is five people moving in and two moving out? And I'll leave you at this. This is actually interesting as well. There's a lot of new developments here in Vegas, and they add solar to the home as a sales tactic. Hey, you're going to get 8 panels, 10 panels. The problem is solar is customizable to the people living there. So
Mhm.
that's why I recommend all agents. How many people are living in the home for years with solar, and how many people are buying that home? Are they similar? Is it three people, two people? If it's drastically different, you may want to just make sure that may not be the house for them.
Man, that is, I'm so glad you're breaking all that down. Um, and talk about breakdown. So, I've seen all kinds of things in the news lately about new charges and rates with NVEnergy. And you mentioned a little about this at the beginning of us talking today. But why is it important to look at our electric bill every month?
Couple reasons. Number one, it made all sorts of news. NVEnergy first came out and said they overcharged customers by 38 million. That went up to 68 million.
Right.
That's unfortunate. This is what's shocking. 99% of the people literally are on auto pay. And why are they auto pay? And number one, NVEnergy saves millions of dollars not sending you a paper bill. And number two, out of sight, out of mind. You don't see your bill.
Yeah,
What's
I'm
interesting
auto
is
pay. Yeah.
if I told you this, no one would believe me. Everybody in the state of Nevada and in Las Vegas, whether you live in an apartment, a trailer, a hometown, is paying for solar. One of the line items on your power bill is solar access program, meaning you are paying, everyone in Nevada is paying for NVEnergy to build solar farms. Number two, you are paying NVEnergy's insurance. Even though up north they have more natural disasters, all of us are paying in case we have wildfires or other issues. So the main thing is all these fees go up. When people look at their bill, they say, oh, they're not being truthful with me. I'm only paying 11 cents a kilowatt. That is called the base rate. You have to add all the extra line. Just like when you get your cell phone bill and they promise you it's one thing and then you look at all those extra bills. So here's the problem. We are at the mercy of the Public Utilities Commission. They are going to dinner with NVEnergy. They're the ones that are here. And as of right now, because we're filming this early, the 17th of November, the Public Utilities Commission has to explain why they believe this new demand charge should go into effect. That is huge because once again, it's going to be based on your individual demand versus it used to be a shared demand. So if
Hmm.
people work from home, they may pay a lot more. If people are away, they may not as well. But here's what's scary. Once the net metering goes away, if this does go through, NVEnergy can charge whatever they want because
Wow.
people that get solar, they'll still save money with the battery, but the significance will not be there as much.
Wow, man. And probably most people just have no, I mean, this is all new to me. Even though I see the news, I see articles all over the place. It's hard to understand. So is there a solution in the end? What would we do, meaning as a community, to make things easier, going forward?
Well, first off, everybody has to be cognizant of when they're using power. And we know a lot of people are having electric vehicles. And here's another problem that NVEnergy does. Let's say Randy buys that brand new Tesla that everyone's excited about. And you call NVEnergy, hey, I have a solar vehicle. What should I do? They go, Randy, no problem. Plug it in from 9 o'clock at night till 12 o'clock and you'll be fine. We're going to put you on what's called time of use, right? So you're happy. Why? Because Randy's paying 9 cents a kilowatt from 9 o'clock at night till 12 during 12 a.m. What they don't tell Randy is during the whole rest of the day, you're paying 48 cents a kilowatt. I met a woman the other day who thought she needed more solar, but she didn't realize for 7 years she was paying time of use. So she was paying a full solar bill and 300 a month to NVEnergy. And I did the right thing. I explained what to do. And even then, NVEnergy says to her, you have to wait 60 days for us to go back and change your bill to regular. So we're talking about looking at your bill.
Yeah.
It's very important to look at the header. TOU says time of use. That's not good for everyone. So all these people that are getting electric vehicles, they think they're getting a deal. They don't realize now. Now, when you have solar, right, you want to charge during the day because that's when the sun's out, and at night you don't want it. It's reverse. But NVEnergy, they're a for-profit business. They're not here to help us out. They're here to make sure they make money, especially when Berkshire Hathaway, which is who owns our company, for A shares almost $800,000 a share right now.
Wow, man. Man, I'll be looking at my bills, and haven't looked at the bills in like probably 2 or 3 years.
And just real quick, Randy, people that have solar as well must look at their bills for two main reasons. A beautiful solar bill would have the orange bars, which are bars representing how much you sell back, larger in January, February, April, and most of May. And then in June, July, August, September, your blue, the usage will be more because it's hot.
Mhm.
And then come October, November, December, your orange will be important. Why that's important? It's your orange is kind of like when we were younger, you had rollover minutes for your cell phone. That's what those orange bars are. So a lot of people may have gotten solar and not realized they bought a house from someone that had two people living there and you have four. So you're allowed to have a second system in Nevada. So a lot of people don't understand. They think solar is a scam. Why am I paying NVEnergy $150 a month and paying a solar bill? So it's very important. We always say in the industry, your bill is your Bible. Your bill gives you all the information, but most people don't know how to decipher it. As a free thing, if anyone wants me to analyze their bill for them, I do it just as a courtesy. Like I said, I help this woman out. I'm saving her $300 a month because
Wow.
someone told her to go on time of use 7 years ago.
Wow, man, that's a great story, and I'm going to talk to you about my bills, and I encourage anyone to reach out to Andy, and we'll put your contact information in the video, and I'll give you a second to share that. But before that, where do you see, not only for the country, but for us here in Las Vegas, where do you see the solar industry in the next 5 years or so?
Great question. You can't go more than 5 seconds every day to not hear the words or letters AI. What's
Mhm.
happening is everybody in the United States wants us to be AI. Well, here in Vegas, we have an AI data center called Switch. It's right off the
Yeah.
215 Buffalo area. They're building their fifth or sixth. What's happening is this. The demand for power when you're looking at crypto and AI is going to be starting going through the roof. The reason is because we have more people moving. When we were young, Randy, you and I were similar age, we'd have one TV in the house. Now people have four. We wouldn't have four iPads. So the actual demand for power is the greatest it's ever been. Now, not even before data centers even existed. So what's happening is they're saying all the data centers in the United States will need 10 times the global's power. So what happens? What do these businesses do? They talk to our politicians and they say, well, give us some tax abatements. We're going to have 10,000 jobs. We're going to build 25 data centers. Who do you think is going to pay for that additional power? People like you and me, right? Because the
Wow.
politicians say, well, it's going to bring jobs, but the rates are going to go up. So the problem is the demand for power is going to be the most it's ever been. Even if you get solar post in Nevada, post April of 26, and you have to get a battery, it's still going to be advantageous. The state of California passed a law. Any new home must have solar. So,
Wow.
and that's problem number one. But problem number two is our electrical grid in the United States is 110 years old. So now we're basically, if you imagine the United States is a power strip with 14 different plugs being pulled into it and then wanting more. So at the end of the day, obviously I'm in the industry. I have to do what's best for everyone. You have to do as well. The people that don't go solar are going to pay the price. And here's how it works. As utility companies raise their rates, solar companies for new customers raise their rates. It's always less, but it works hand in hand. Meaning, if people in Nevada went solar 10 years ago, they were paying 8 cents a kilowatt versus today, they're paying 13 cents. People in California, some of them in San Diego, are paying 50 cents a kilowatt. Some San Diego bills are $800 to $1,000 a month. And unfortunately, Las Vegas likes to follow California.
Yeah, wow, man, that is a lot of great information. So, Andy, how would anyone get a hold of you?
You could call or text me directly. My number is 702 504 3553. That's 702 504 3553. I really treat everyone like a family member because Vegas, even though there's over 2 million people, I have to do the right thing. I can't say it for everyone, just like any industry. There's the good, the bad, and the ugly. But what I could do, if you have solar now and you're curious if your system is operating at full efficiency, I could review your bill. Secondly, if you're just curious what you would save, I could do that as well for you. And we appreciate all. The bottom line is we need to draw a line in the sand here. Either you're going to protect yourself or you're going to roll the dice. That's basically it. Obviously, I understand when people, and I'll leave you this too also, when people knock on doors, what they don't understand, it's not easy. And I've done it for many years. Traditionally, the people that knock on your door and ask for you to go solar are traditionally less expensive for the homeowner than when you meet someone at a Lowe's or Home Depot because those companies that are in Lowe's and Home Depot must pay a commission to those stores. Okay. Now it's up to the homeowner to be educated and see what kilowatt hour they're being charged. Are they getting the zero rider or the 299? So even if you've met with somebody and you're thinking about it and you solar and you want a neutral third party, more than happy to also help people as well.
That is really terrific. Well, appreciate you, everyone. Thanks for watching. We're gonna have Andy's contact information below the video, and write any thoughts, questions, comments. Either I or Andy will get back to you right away. And thanks for watching. Thank you, Andy.
Thank you.